Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to another episode of the Hawg Talk podcast, live from the Stirling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe in Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes, alongside me as always, Adam Hall. On tonight's show, we'll break down everything Razorbacks today. Arkansas gets the sweep over Alabama this past weekend. Arkansas softball, big series win over Mississippi State. Huge matchup coming up with OU. Got NBA draft, got NFL news, and Ryan Silverfield's first big decision dismissal coming up with the arrest of Jaylen Brown. Adam, we'll get right into it. First of all, I owe Arkansas baseball an apology. I was very critical of this program. I was not familiar with your game. I apologize. Last week went on a little rant about how maybe they need to suck for things to turn around and maybe be the sacrificial lamb to get Hunter Yurchek out of here. But what do? They go off and sweep 8th ranked Alabama at home. Game 1, 7-5, game 2, 15-6, and then winning on Sunday 3-2. I'm very surprised. I mean, if they would have won, you expect Arkansas being a good program if they win, but to sweep Alabama on the road ahead of this Georgia series coming up in Baum Walker, 5th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. And it was funny when the rankings come out. Perfect Game was the only ones that didn't have the Razorbacks ranked. They had them outside of the top 25, and their justification was, let's see how they do against Georgia. Let's see if they can back it up. And, the sweep over the 8th-ranked team in the country wasn't good enough. Let's see what they can do against Georgia, and we'll put them back in the top 25.
At this point, I don't blame them, but at the same time, it just doesn't make much sense. But, yeah, we've been overly critical, and rightfully so. Even with sweeping Alabama, it's like you still have a lot of work to go. You still have a lot to do. I mean, you're 8-7 in the SEC now. This series reminded us of Arkansas, the recent past, but there's still things to be figured out. Let's see if they can continue it against Georgia this weekend. Because if you want to get back in the rankings, you got to be the top 5 team in Georgia. So we'll see what happens there. But they went in and handled business. They did what they needed to do. So build off of it. That's what you have to do.
This is, this is the toughest conference in college baseball. Georgia's sitting at top of the rankings, 11-4 in SEC play, 29-8 overall. There is a 5-way tie between, if you go Alabama, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Arkansas. 4-way tie, sorry. Yeah, 4-way. My eyes got messed up on me. I was trying to add another 8 and 17. But Alabama, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Arkansas are all sitting at 8-7 in conference play. Florida's 9-6, Texas A&M 9-5. So, that big Texas A&M Texas series right there, anything can switch. You think you'd go from, let's just say if they were sitting atop all alone, you went from 9th to 4th in one weekend. Anything can happen on any given weekend, especially when you play 3 games and you sweep, you go from 4-5 to 8-7, just like that. So, but yes, big series coming up against Georgia, and I'm looking up who they had this weekend. Let's see. They got East Tennessee coming up tomorrow. Arkansas has UAPB tomorrow. So
they just came off a series loss at Florida, I believe.
They lost 2 games. Yeah. Won the second game 5-1. So they lost the series to Florida, which now Florida's 9-6. And before that, you would say they were 10-2 in conference play. Now they're 11-4. So again, anything can happen. You have just a few. You got Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss, OU, Kentucky. So Only a couple weekends left. This whole year is going by way fast. But you really want to stamp and get back in the perfect game rankings. It starts, but I mean, look, I know they've had their struggles, but this is a top 25 program. I'm sorry, it's a top 25 team. You know, it was funny that they did add that little caveat that when they didn't put them in the top 25, people were saying thank you for not. And but all in all, you can't sit there and say that they're not a top 25 program. Yes, they've kind of faltered and went on a rough stretch. They might not be the team that they are, but that's why we are critical. You're supposed to be a top 5 team. You're supposed to be a top 5 program in the country. So when you go on this kind of losing streak, or you go on this where you're not playing as well, we're going to be like, look, something's up. And we've been kind of sniffing this out for a while. And then you kind of spark against Alabama. You go on a sweep. I mean, and then you go back to the South Carolina series, and because South Carolina is just horrible. But I mean, you open up with Mississippi State in Fayetteville, number 3 team in the country. So you're doing better against top 10 teams than anybody else in the country. So I guess you cannot complain too bad when that's what the wins you have is 3rd ranked team, and then now the 8th ranked team. So if you get another win, you back it up against Georgia, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah, you got 5 more series, I believe, left before the SEC tournament. I mean, you got plenty of time. Basically, got a month left, a little over a month. So do what you can, claw, fight, scratch. I mean, but yeah, going in and at home this weekend against Georgia, you know, you win that series, I think you'll be back in a lot of fans' good graces and a lot of the pollsters' good graces. You know, it's taken a little bit of time. You know, we always trust in Dave Van Horn. And, you know, a little bit of this too, I think that we're seeing kind of and I don't like using this as an excuse or anything, because I think there's more to it with Arkansas. But NIL is catching up a little bit. You've got other teams spending more. We've talked about it for the last 2-ish years about Arkansas. I mean, go spend the money and buy yourself a pitcher, because we've seen other teams do it. So I think that does have a little bit to do with it. I think having more freshmen in the rotation has a little bit to do with it. So it's guys finding their spots, finding their places. So you just hope that, like I said, take the series win, series sweep, build off of it. But here's the thing: is you don't want to go in, you know, and say take down, knock on wood, take down Georgia this weekend, and then turn around and lose the series at Missouri the following week. So they've got to, I feel like, put, you know, 3 or 4 out of these next 5 series together to get them back on the right side of things.
Yeah. And here, look, in the realm of hosting a super is not out of the question. I mean, you can move up the rankings just as fast as you fell out. That's where you really want to be in that top 8, because that secures you a super regional. But now you're wanting to get a good enough seed to where, okay, you're going to host a regional, and then hopefully you get blessed enough that you're not getting paired up with a Florida or a Georgia or an Alabama. I mean, yes, you swept Alabama, but it seems like just how good the SEC is, more than likely you could be paired up with another SEC school. And there's just so many teams that are good that there's just sometimes no way around it. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But the fact that Hunter Dietz come out strong, you know, set the tone, really put the team on his back, and had that great outing in game 1. He went 6 innings, only gave up 2 runs, walked 3, struck out 9. So you know what everything's been said about this team and just not living up to those expectations. You go on the road and you win this thing 7-5. You hold off, you know, they scored 2 runs in the 9th. So you hold off that rally and shut it down. That's where it suits you well going into the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I mean, you know, getting Ruiz back this weekend, only out 6 games versus I believe they were expecting a month or more. So, hopefully, again, knock on wood, you hope the injury bug is out of the way. It's one of those with all these guys, and we've seen it more in the midweeks. I feel like this season, we've used the midweeks a lot more than in years past to figure out guys' spots, whether lineup rotation, whatever. And so you hope by now they've got that figured out. Because that's always a question, but you hope that, hey, we finally know we've got the pieces to the puzzle that we've been trying to figure out.
Yeah, and you're bringing back your second leading hitter. He was batting 333 on the year. He had 13 RBIs, 3 home runs, but again, batting 333, only below Carter Rutenbar, who's hitting 338. Kelsel brought up his average to 305. And then the rest of so you only got 3 of your guys in the main rotation batting over 300. So we know coming into postseason play that's got to come up. You've got to have better at bats. You've got to have less strikeouts. You've struck out 347 times this year. We know that's got to be buttoned up. And nobody other than Helfrich slugging over 600, percent. That's something we're not seeing the typical Arkansas baseball team. You're not getting a lot of home runs. I mean, yes, Zach Stewart's come along in the last couple of days and just went on a tear. He's hit 6 home runs and on the year. Your leading RBI, Kosel, 40 RBIs on the year. So this could be that small ball team that's just not slugging a lot. They're not hitting a lot of home runs. They've only got 53 on the year. So, we're used to a team hitting over 100 home runs on a given season. So we'll see if they can start putting it together and have a late season push. But having a Ruiz back in the lineup is going to be big for them and coming up in a big way at home against Georgia.
Definitely. I'm ready for them to get back on the right side of things. Because honestly, I mean, after the way football season went and how basketball season ended, I mean, we talked about it last week. It's just kind of like, and we've talked about it weeks prior. We put all of our eggs in the baseball team's basket a lot. And so, it kind of has sucked a bit to be down and out, or just having that down and out feeling. And I know, the doom and gloom was talked about last week a few times. And I think it's one of those, we don't like sitting here just bashing these guys or critiquing these guys all the time.
Yeah.
Even though we know that, hey, maybe they listened to us last week.
That's what that's what I texted you. Hey, I think they secretly do. I don't think they're allowed to. I think they would get in trouble if they publicly announced that they do. But man, and I deserve it. If we are their motivation, and if we can reverse psychology this thing and say that this is they listen to us to pump them up. Hey, we'll be that sacrificial lamb for you guys. If you need us just to crap on you and say that how horrible you're doing, hey, we'll be the guys for you. If it means you go and sweep Alabama, hey, we're here for it.
And the Monday update for the raffle that started this morning, I believe, or yesterday, whatever. It's currently at $815. Right. So at 624, $815. We'll see what it's at Thursday. I'm going to go with $1,375.
$1,375. All right.
That's what I'm guessing.
$1,375. You talking about payout or current jackpot? Do you count
current jackpot?
Okay, so you do all overall. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go $3,000. So $1,500 to the winner. I'll go $3,000.
We'll see what happens.
Can we get $3,000? Because here in Ozark where I live, we do it's a raffle for a bull drop. $20 gets you a chance at $10,000. And it's a big thing we do in Ozark every year. They do it twice a year where a cow poops in a square. If that poop lands in your square, you get $10,000. If you get
y'all are called the hillbillies.
Hey man, that's what it is. I mean, listen, I'll say this though. Yeah, we can say the bull drop, but there's teams and towns that have donkey basketball. So I mean, it could be worse. Would you rather a bull crap in a square for $10,000, or you're riding an ass in a basketball gym playing basketball?
And it's going to drop a deuce too on the basketball.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be worse. Yes, we are called the hillbillies for a reason. So HPRD on that. But yes, I spend my $20 twice a year, or I should say 40, so $80 a year, trying to win a chance at $10,000. So
hey, I mean, do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah. But listen, leading up to after the Georgia game, we're 2 weeks away from Justin Moore and the spring kickoff powered by Link U and the spring game. I heard y'all talking on the show last night. DP was giving a shout out to the social media team. I'm hearing a lot of good buzz about what Silverfield's doing. I hear that there is a lot of positive buzz and not in a sarcastic way. So maybe that is optimism will help build this program. And I think if people will accept that this year's not going to be the greatest year, he's not had a lot of time to build the program. Let's see what he can do. Let's give him a year to get this out of the way, get a quarterback in here, because DP was talking about the guy from Clemson, Mr. Trotter, which I'm going to root for. I've got his helmet behind me. See what he can do. Then the real year starts in year 2. But I think if the fans can really just, even if this thing goes off the rails 2-10, we know that the talent is not there, and with this schedule. And to me, I'm not going to be as hard on this team this year as I was last year, because, and this is not in a sarcastic way, I just don't think this team's going to be that good based off of what you have coming in, the schedule you have, and having a new coach. It takes time. Even in a place, the Indiana situation was an anomaly. He had a solidified program at James Madison. He brought all his players over. He didn't, Silverfield didn't have a great Memphis program where he could bring over all his players, and now we can go 6-6 in the SEC. So let's give him a year and see where this thing goes year 2. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's where I am on the situation. I like what I'm hearing from the guy, but that dude's in a tough spot.
Any coach is going to be in a tough spot at the University of Arkansas. Let's be real. I guess I'm just going back to his words. He's the one that put it out there about winning now, about changing things now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. I'm not expecting much. I mean, I'm expecting 2 to 3 wins. So it's something that, I mean, I'm just going to take it as that. I'm not expecting for them to set the world on fire. Obviously, if they do, fantastic. I love it. I do feel like he's doing things right in Ryan Silverfield. Bringing back Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones, bringing back the former players that have been MIA.
And I think Madre Hill, even he posted a picture that he had been invited back.
Yeah. So that I love to see that, because that's been a complaint from former players and us and others for quite a while. The dismissal of Jaylen Brown. It's something that, hey, no nonsense. And, I have no issues with him going ahead and dismissing him from the team, especially when you've been dismissed from another school for drug charges when he was at Florida State. So there's obviously a common denominator there. Because, I heard this comment on Ruskin and Zach on my way home, and it was just, hey, you could have just laid down and been like Kirby Smart in Georgia and just, allowed all these arrests to happen and whatnot. You put your foot down. You're setting a tone. And that's one thing that he's talked about on creating a culture. And you don't want to create a culture that allows for your players to be consistently arrested. Yeah. So I back him in that sense. I just don't know what to expect. And so completely new team outside of a few players. I I've thought since day one that this was going to be KJ Jackson's, job to lose. I still think it is to an extent, but I like what we're seeing from the other quarterbacks in these practices. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid or that I'm buying into all the hype, because I'm not going to do it. Didn't do it last year. That's just the way things are. But I do like what I see and what I hear. So I just hope it translates. But you have everything working against you this fall. That schedule, a complete roster turnover. So, I mean, obviously the expectations year 2 are going to be higher than year 1. I just, this season, I'm just going to treat it kind of like we did this last season and take it game by game. If you're 2-0, I'm going to judge you game 3 based off, hey, you're a 2-0 team. If you're 2-9, by game 12 coming around, then that's where we're going to be. But I'm just going to take it game by game.
And this is going to be a year where it's not going to be like, see, I told you so. See, we're looking at another horrible hire. I'm not going to base anything off of Ryan Silverfield's tenure off this first year, because I'm looking at the roster and this is the SEC. How many NFL players does he have on this roster? That's what you have to look at. Mm-hmm. And you can have just one receiver or one quarterback. You can have one offensive skill player that is a SEC caliber player and go 6-6. We've seen it with Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
All you need is one. And when you look at this roster, not saying you can't develop it or one of these players can turn into that, but also you look at teams. My father-in-law is a big Michigan State fan. And how many times that D'Antonio has turned a mediocre team into a bowl eligible team. If you get these guys believing that they can win, and you have that dog in you where you're playing the underdog role and you're playing with house money, anything's possible. And we don't know how many of these teams are going to pan out. And you want to talk about the transfer portal and these quarterbacks moving around. I mean, look at Tennessee, with you bring in Aguilar, and now what are they going to be with? Missouri, who's going to be their quarterback? Vanderbilt with post Pavia. Where's A&M? I mean, there is a possibility that some of these teams are down. But yet, when you look at the overall, the players that they're getting in, the players that you're getting in, I didn't see enough movement in the portal. I didn't hardly see any movement really in the portal than we did years past. That shows me that if we were going to win an SEC game, Auburn, maybe Vanderbilt. So 4 games max. But then again, you got South Carolina. You have a stretch, and you would talk about if you don't go doom and gloom. And I know we're going to go, with the football team, and we're going to break down this schedule as the summer comes closer. But if you can get through late October, middle of November, you have Vandy, Missouri, Auburn, South Carolina. That is a very generous stretch. Yes, you finish the year at Texas and LSU. And you could even, if you want to, throw Tennessee in the mix with Vandy. I mean, but when you start off, how are you going to rebound from Utah, Georgia, and at A&M? If you can shake that off and say, let's say you start off 2 and 3. If you start off 2 and 3 heading into the Tennessee game, and let's say you drop that game, you're 2 and 4 heading into the Vanderbilt game on October 17th. Shake that off. You got Vandy, Missouri, Auburn, and South Carolina. If you can stay healthy, first of all, but there's a chance you could win a couple of those games. Do they get bowl eligible this year? No. But if you can prove that, look, we're a different culture, but also when you talk about the Jaylen Brown situation, not only does it do culture, it does accountability. We are holding people accountable for the actions that they did. And knowing that, okay, this guy, we don't have that much depth on the roster. This guy was going to be a proven starter, but we released him. I mean, that right shows you, no matter who you are in this team, you're going to be held accountable for your actions.
Mm-hmm. And, out of the wide receiver room, I like what we've seen with Courtney Crutchfield and Antonio Jordan. And so I'm excited to see. It seems like Courtney Crutchfield is finally getting things right with his attitude and things that we've heard previous seasons. So hopefully that all carries over. I think the biggest question really is going to be defensive line. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, can Ryan Silverfield put us in positions to win games? I guess, is my thought.
Yeah, I get where you're going with that. Those one score games.
Yes.
And that's a great point. One, can he weather the storm, and can the fans ride it out with it?
Mm-hmm.
Can they show him some grace to where that they expect this is going to be a bumpy ride, and then just ride it out, trust that, all right, we're going to give him year 2, year 3, see where this thing's really going. Year 1's a wash, but if he does great, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's the good way to go about it. We talked about it in years past when it came to Sam Pittman on losing the team or the team giving up, seeing what they, and I will say, I feel like last season with Coach Petrino, like you still saw fight in the players and the team for the most part. So I think a lot of it's just going to be in these close situations. As coaches, are you putting the players in the right situations?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the right guys in? Are you getting control of head cases or boneheaded plays that we've talked about before? Like you make a boneheaded play, how do you follow that up? How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
Do you have amnesia with it? So I think a lot is not going to be determined until this team suits up against another team, because we know that it gets tiring playing against your teammates week after week.
Yeah. And them, another thing is too, and how they carry this out the rest of the spring fall camp.
Mm-hmm.
How long do they go ones versus ones? Do they kind of switch it up to where ones or versus twos? Does it get to the point where like, all right, they're just getting beat up both sides of the ball? Do they kind of switch that out? Yes, quarterback, special teams concern. Yes. Who's the kicker going to be? Who's your punter going to be? Flipping the field of position is a big thing. But with this football team, I think now it's just culture is going to be a big one, setting accountability, because we seen last year, if they would have just had a mediocre defense, they would have went to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe also with Silverfield, balance your team out. You can't win 6-7 games with a high-powered offense and a crappy defense. You're going to have to get a defense. You could have had a C or D defense. You had an F level defense last year. You could have had a high D, low C level defense and went to a bowl game last year with that offense. And then when you hear reports of, Petrino and T Wheel not getting along and just those, what kind of, it goes to the culture. What kind of locker room? What's the coaches? Do the coaches really get along? That sets another standard. You lead by example. If the coaches are sitting there and we're playing, we hear one Razorback all the time. If we can play as one team and come together and not just let this NIL thing get to us where all the offensive guys are getting the money, where are we at on defense, and just come together and win, and then you get your bag.
It's a lot of questions to be answered.
Yeah. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to jump into basketball news. We're going to talk transfer portal. Malik Thomas declaring for the draft, but he is going to maintain his college eligibility, and we'll end the show with softball talk and more. We'll be right back after a quick break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Stirling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience.
With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.stirlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Stirling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, plus our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together.
Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And welcome back to the Hawg Talk podcast. Moving on to basketball news. Malik Thomas has announced he is declared for the NBA draft, but will maintain his college eligibility. I love this. I love that he added that little caveat in there. I think that's the perfect move for him. Looking at a bunch of the NBA scouts and people who do the drafts around the NBA, they're projecting him a late first round pick. And I think maybe that might just be some buzz to keep his name in that first round. But Adam, I really hope that, and this isn't just for selfish reasons. I honestly think he does need another year in college, and I've been vocal about it, and I've said it. And yes, there's people who want him to come back for selfish reasons, but rightfully so. Come back, run it back, and if the draft and the freshman talent next year is not as deep as it is this year, you advance your game, you're going to be a guaranteed lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Cal can do for you. And I think you come back, run it back. You're going to give this team some much needed depth and leadership at the guard role. You're going to mentally grow, and you're going to develop your game more than if you tried to go this route, got drafted in the second round, and found yourself in the G League or 10-day contracts. Or I just think he really, really, really needs to come back for this team and for himself, because if he's just patient, I guarantee he's going to up his draft stock tremendously, and he'll be a lottery pick in 28.
4 or 5 days ago.
Sorry.
No, you're good. 4 or 5 days ago, Cal had an interview with, I think, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And I mentioned this last night on HQ. And he basically said, Malik's plans, we're testing the draft waters. But with that, it was for a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's truly, it's one of those, if he's not going to be a first round pick for sure, I think he returns. And I think, honestly, Billy Richmond should do the same thing. Go get some draft grades, come back. And here's the thing is, I get it. If you have your mind made up and you're one of these athletes that you want to go pro, that's all you want to do. You're done with college. I understand that. But with the way the world is right now, and the way NIL is right now, I would rather come back to college, especially with what I did on this team with Billy Richmond and Malik Thomas.
Mhm.
You're going to get paid well here. Up your draft stock another year. Because why, if you're outside of the NBA lottery, if you're outside of those lottery picks, I wouldn't risk being stuck on two-way contracts.
Yeah,
With the NBA and the G League. So if I were them, hey, come back and each of y'all get a couple mil, 2.5 mil. Why not? I mean, I'm not saying Arkansas's paying, but these players are garnering that much money. So come back. It's one of those, you're not in the portal. You'll come back to Arkansas, get a couple million, get another year under your belt, up your draft stock some more. I think it's the smart decision to do for both of them. But we know that they're workhorses. They want the best. I just look at it kind of like, I think the smarter move is to come back to college one more year.
Yeah, and Billy Richmond as well. I just think of this team. If you could just land one big in the portal, you can just bring one big in. You've got Billy Richmond. You'll have Malik. You'll have Torre. You'll have Andrews. I mean, you'll have a stellar squad. And then if Ewan come back, which I'm really torn on him. I guess it just depends if you can't go get anybody else. I don't know. And I'm really kind of puzzled on his lack of, what would you say, movement after his announcement or whatever. He put a cryptic tweet out and there's just not been anything said after that. It's like that cryptic tweet of he's still making his decision, but he's shopping around, I guess. So to me, and I mean, this might just be my old school self. If you're just trying to search and see if you can get a bigger bag somewhere else, please go to another school. Because then that shows me, guess what? You're going to be next year's Pringle. You're not going to give the same effort. If you have 1 foot out and you are just chasing the bag, which granted, by all means, you have the right to do that. But I think if you want to do something special here at Arkansas, you want to team up with if Thomas comes back. Maybe he's waiting on Thomas. Maybe he's waiting to see if Thomas comes back to see what his destination is going to be. Then I would welcome that more than thinking he's just searching for a bag, because I think this program's on a cusp of doing something special and going to an Elite Eight Final Four and win. And we've said it. I don't think it will happen, but it would be amazing if they did win a national championship. But I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a Malik Ewan and somebody else down low that comes in and bodies people around. And that's the difference between getting in a Sweet 16 exit or getting to a Final Four. And you see anything with Duke, a mishap can be meaning you're out of the Final Four. You're playing for a national championship.
Yeah, and Ewan, I mean, essentially that's what we're waiting on, is to see if he's going to get that waiver. Right. So we don't know for certain what's even going to happen with that. And I kind of feel like that with the message, the tweet or whatever he put out, they expected to know sooner, and they don't know yet. But I mean, I would welcome him back if we can get, the Malik Ewan that we saw the back half of the season. But no, even whether you get Malik Ewan or not, you still need to go get a couple more bigs at minimum, because that's what it's going to take. And then, there's still that, like the graphic we talked about on last night's show, the one that you sent me and I sent Art and DP, out of the last 10 national championships, there's only 3 of them, I think, that had freshman starters on their team. And it was only one like one here, one there. So you got to look at that. Can Cal break that cycle of having predominantly mostly freshmen starting? Because the odds aren't in his favor to get that national title when you have mostly freshmen in your starting lineup. But like I said, if there's any coach that can break the cycle, it's him. So there's things, if it bigs, depth, both are issues. I really don't think Cal's going to come off this 8 to 9 man rotation. And we say 8 to 9 just because we know that that's going to go down to about 7 if there's injuries and things of that nature. So it's, I don't feel like you should waste your time bringing in some of the international players that are just going to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
I get it. You need practice players and whatnot. And you don't have to pay the international players NIL. But at the same time, it's you've got to figure out your depth issues and you've got to figure out your big man issues. Because that's what's keeping you from advancing further.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's just the fact that let me go back because I know I've mentioned it, but I get my years mixed up on what year they played. But to your point of the freshman starters, there's only been 1 year post-COVID, and that's the 24 UConn team that had a freshman. You got to go back to 19 when and beyond or later to have where every team had one freshman starter. Because I was looking back at that graphic I sent you. Pull it up real quick, and that way I have the talking point of it. The 19 Virginia one freshman, Villanova one freshman, 17 North Carolina team no, 16 Villanova one freshman. But since 21, so you had nothing in 20, of course, but 21 till now, there's been only one team that's had a freshman on their national championship roster, and that was the 24 UConn team. And we can even strike that. Yes, they had a freshman, but they was coming off of they just won it the year before, so this was a back-to-back. This wasn't a not. So I mean, you could even put an asterisk by that freshman because this team come off a national championship and won it again. Yes, that freshman could have been a contributor, but they had just won it the year before.
So we'll see what happens. All we know is that, like we've seen before, we're seeing these wild NIL requests. Cyril supposedly wanting $4 million. You've heard $7 million for Stokes. I forget some of the others, but you're starting to hear this, $4 to $7 million range for these players. I mean, no offense, but Santos Cyril averaged 9 points per game, 2 blocks, 7 rebounds, something like that. That doesn't garner $4 million.
No.
So
Stokes, I don't think is worth that much either. I heard.
Well, it means the same thing with DeBansta getting $6 million last season.
And here's the thing, and I'm just gonna be honest, and this is not a biased thing. Outside of Acuff, which one did? Which one player meant enough to their team that they deserve that much money?
Yeah.
And that's just being honest. I mean, he was a dog. He earned it. He didn't sit out like Peterson did. And you take Acuff out of Arkansas, I would be surprised if they made the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how much he meant to this team. But that price tag, and this again could be just ignorant numbers for people to be throwing out there just to get us to comment. And they're probably laughing at everybody. Yeah, they really think they are asking this when they're nowhere near that. But when I'm going back to this, you're talking about the teams that Arkansas had gotten beat by. You didn't make the tournament in 23-24 and then 24-25. Computer's being ignorant right now. Texas Tech. Baylor, Duke, UConn, and then Texas Tech. The last 3-4 teams, it's been where you've just gotten outplayed. And I'll even go back. Let's go back one more year to 17, 18, I believe it was. No, you got beat by Butler in 17, 18. Who was it in 18, 19? I think this is the team I'm thinking about. No, NIT. But you got beat by Baylor was the one that I was thinking about. Just got outworked. And then the UConn game just got outworked. And you're seeing it. And it goes up on what I was saying about last week of I see what Cal's doing it, but is that going to be his own demise? And I'm sorry, I'm not saying it. It's not a bad thing to get to a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 or Final Four. But if this is the way it ends and Kentucky fans are going to be like, look, we've been trying to tell you this for 10 years. This is what you're going to get with him. And he does only have one national championship. Can we really expect him to win 2 or 3 here at Arkansas or even one? I mean, you can't just because he did it 15 years ago. I mean, we got to think, 12 when he won it?
Something like that, yeah.
So you're 13, 14 years since he's won it. And we expect him to do that almost 15 years later at Arkansas in a new era. You don't have a Boogie. You don't have an Anthony Davis. You had a cup. You're going to need NBA type players like a Derrick Rose and an Anthony Davis. It's like what we said to football. You're going to need at least 2 or 3 NBA players to win a national championship here at Arkansas.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the odds are against you. So I think a national championship, I mean, it's a huge ask, but I still think that needs to be the goal. And not just putting players in the league, which by all means, I mean, do that as well. But it's something we got to come to a realization, come to terms with like, hey, like baby steps. So year 3, hey, guess what? We need to go to the Elite 8 or further. I want to see Arkansas back in the Final Four while Coach Cal is here. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I think after this next season, kind of all bets are off when it comes to the critiquing and criticism. So.
Yeah. Well, and going to Tyron Stokes, I mean, 6'7", 230. I want to look up his stat, but he just, to me, he looks bigger than what his competition was he was playing against in high school. He just looks like that kid that was just so much bigger than everybody else. Yes, he's going to these camps and he's doing really well. But to me, is he like the guy at BYU? Is he going to be a guy? He's projected crystal ball to go to Kansas. Is he going to be another Peterson where he's got an agent and he's going to sit out half the game or half the season? You don't know. I just don't get any vibes from him. Now, size-wise, it'd be nice to have a 6'7", 230 guy. But if he plays the style that we want him to play in Cal's standard, be like that A-cuff guy, I think it'd help.
Yeah.
So, win the show with softball. Big win against Mississippi State over the weekend for Razorbacks softball. They have a huge matchup coming up on the road in Norman, taking on the Sooners of Oklahoma. They lost the first game 1-0, and then turned around and ruled Mississippi State 8-0 and won 10-3 on Sunday. And then they traveled to Norman on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 7:00, ESPN2. So game 1 will be aired on ESPN2. There was a lot of talk that we had about you're going up against the leading home run hitters in the nation. And going on a little sidebar here, I think we need to move the fences back. It is crazy for me to see college athletes playing on a little league field and knowing the technology and knowing how hot these bats are when you could barely swing it and hit it out of the fence. And you're hitting it oppo 30, 40 feet. I mean, these Easton Ghost bats are crazy, stupid hot. And you've got pitchers pitching at 70 miles an hour, and you connect those two together, you're going to hit it 300 feet. I know it brings excitement, but it's crazy when you smash the home run record halfway through a season. And it's just how, when you go look at Bogle Park and how small it is, you can understand why some of these people are hitting 20, 30 home runs a year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Arkansas softball and baseball both have daunting tasks this weekend. So, but it'd be huge. It could be a huge weekend for both teams.
Yeah.
So, I especially with softball and OU, that's one that's been circled on the calendar for a while. So, I'm definitely ready to see that this weekend.
I want to get to the point to where, because when Courtney Deifel first got here, the team she was always trying to get around was Alabama. And finally got over that hump and got to the point where you're winning SEC championships. Well, then you heard the news of OU and Texas coming into the league, and you knew that it was going to be a daunting task. One, Texas put you out of the super regionals when your closest trip that you had to going to Oklahoma City, you ran into Texas, and now OU and Texas. Now the current standings right now, you have OU 13-2 overall. Arkansas is 10-5, sitting in 5th place. So they're tied with Texas in 5th place in the SEC, and Texas dropping to 10-5 overall after dropping due to OU. I would love for Arkansas to get that series win over Oklahoma. One for DJ to get that series win over his mom, and also Courtney Deifel. I think this would be, hey, look, we're back. Arkansas softball went like this, got there at the top, and now they went on a little decline. Now it's time to be like, okay, we're back on track. We're ready to say that we're gonna be back on top, and we're gonna get to Oklahoma City this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts this weekend, because I think if prove me, let's see, you have OU, Missouri, and then Texas. So I'm just saying, between OU, Missouri, and Texas, you need to at least win OU or Texas. Mm-hmm. That's where it's dawning. Knowing that finish out the season, I see them beating Missouri in the home finale at Bogle Park against Missouri, but you have to play OU and Texas on the road. I think you need to win one of those series to give you that confidence to where, okay, we can get to, one, host a super regional, and two, because you can't lose 2 out of 3 of the final series and expect to be ranked 8th in the country, or by their standards, the 8th seed that would secure you a super regional spot.
Mm-hmm. And when we talked about, Courtney Deifel doing those things in the offseason to get them better than the season before. So it's just, can we finally get over that hump?
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully this is the year. She's talking about this is one of the best teams, and she does have that depth at pitching. Her star pitcher was out in right field. Robin Heron, 50 career wins. It's one of those that this team's, the program has been special. It's been a lot of fun watching them go from the fact where they were giving away tickets to now they're selling out.
Yeah.
But you're still now, you hate it because OU and Texas isn't in the league. You're right there winning SEC championships left and right. But you still, all in all, got to get through one of those schools to get to Oklahoma City or win it all. So you're going to have to face OU either way, whether they're in your conference or not. But it's very imperative if you do not. And this is another reason. I know it's number 1, number 2 team in the country, depending on what poll. It sucks to say that this is the big series, because if you don't win this now, you've got to go Missouri and Texas. You've got to win the next 2 series back to back, ending it with Texas on the road to really secure a super regional spot. And so therefore it just puts you in a bad spot. Scheduling kind of sucked this year, but don't count out Missouri either. They're not a slouch neither, but the fact that you have that in between OU and Texas, Missouri is currently 6-9 in conference. So,
and as we've said before, hey Hunter, get them some NIL.
Yes, please get them some NIL. So, all right, Adam, you got anything else before we wrap this thing up?
I do not.
All right. Well, hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We had technical difficulties on our Facebook streaming, so we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And that will do it for Adam Hall. I'm Porter Hayes. Come back Thursday night, 6:05. We'll do it again, and we'll catch you on Thursday.